Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Got question Chase, has got the facts, talking NFL numbers, he's got your back. A little chart trend ball, man, he's got it like that. Chasing data by do champions. Chasing data applies to everyone. Chasing data, yeah, we're live today. Chasing data for always. Chasing data by do champions.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Chasing Data. I am obviously Chase, and we are finally back to our normal routine of doing our reverse power rankings and breaking down every roster in the NFL. We're gonna stretch this out and make it last all the way up until kickoff week, opening kickoff in September. We've made it through free agency, we've made it through the draft. And now we know what these rosters are going to look like going into 2025. So if you're new to the show, what my plan is for the entire offseason, like I said, is to break down every roster based on my ranking, starting from the worst and working our way up to the best, all the way to number one. We have about 2 episodes left where we're going to do 2 teams each week, and then we're going to really get into detail with these top 16 or so teams, breaking them down one by one until we get to the regular season. So before we get started, let's bring up this. Let's see. Is this one going to work? There we go. All right. So little thing I do every week is pregame warm-up, talk about the things that are going on in the NFL right now that are not pertaining to the 2 teams that I'm breaking down that week. So let's start at the top. Hunter Renfrow, he's back. He took last year off. A lot of people wondered, including myself, why he had not signed anywhere. He was a above average player in Las Vegas, but then he didn't get any traction last year. It was kind of odd, to say the least. I mean, you look at what he did in his last year in 2023. I mean, he didn't play the entire season, though, but you go back, let me go back to 2021, whenever he had 1,000+ yards, 100+ receptions, 9 touchdowns. Come to find out, he was dealing with some GI-related issues last year. He lost, I want to say, like 15, 20 pounds, something like that. He's already a small guy. So him losing that weight definitely put a hurt on him. But now he signs in Carolina, and now that receiver room, or weapon room, I should say, is really starting to peak compared to where they've been over the last, 4 or 5 years. You got Ted McMillan as your 1, Xavier Legette as your 2. You also have Jalen Coker. You have Adam Thielen, who is getting older, but is probably a wide receiver 2 actually for now. You add in Hunter Renfrow. That's 5 receivers right now that are going to be vying for playing time. And then in the tight end room, a little bit of a drop off, but they have Tommy Tremble and Jatavian Sanders. So it's going to be interesting to see what Bryce Young can do with those pass catchers. Rookie jersey sales. This was as of like 2 days ago. The number 1 rookie jersey being sold was Travis Hunter, who went to the Jags. Then Cam Ward, who went number 1 overall, followed by Shador, Genty, and Tet. Tet being number 5 was surprising to me, honestly. Moving on down, got a George Kittle extension. I really was not expecting that. I was expecting a Brock Purdy one, if anything. But I guess that's coming sometime in the future. They give him a 4-year, $76 million extension. I mean, he is one of the top, at minimum, top 5 tight ends in the NFL. So worth the money. Last 2 seasons, he's had over 1,000 yards. He's had 78 and 65 receptions the last 2 seasons. His catch rate over expected was 13%, one of the top in the league. A positive 60, almost plus 62 total EPA added. So, I mean, he's just all around great for this team. Easy money, easy choice to add him to this roster for the foreseeable future. Moving on down, we have our fifth-year options. So the ones that were picked up, I mean, everybody knows who was picked up pretty much. It's all your good players. Ones that were declined is for those 2022 draft class rookies, the likes of Tyler Linderbaum, Evan Neal, Kenyon Green, Trevor Penning, Kenny Pickett, Quay Walker, Devin Lloyd. Some surprises, I guess. Tyler Linderbaum is kind of a surprise, but they can get him back on a much cheaper deal than what that fifth-year extension would have cost him. And so, I mean, like I said, there was about, I want to say about 12 or 13 fifth-year extensions that were accepted. Following that up with some Bills news, since this is a Buffalo Bills network, Do Media, Elijah Moore signed to the Bills. I think he's going to be wide receiver too. I mean, I'm sure they don't want him to be, but with this roster, he's probably going to see the second most usage out of the receiving group. The quarterbacks he's played, they signed him on a 1 year, $5 million contract. The receivers he's played with, Zach Wilson, Mike White, Jeff Driscoll. I'm sorry, the quarterbacks he's played with. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, P.J. Walker, Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston. So the best one out of that list is who? Jameis or Flacco? If those are your top two choices as a quarterback and your receiver, the bar is very low based on your past, and it can only go up from here. I mean, he's had okay numbers. I mean, his best season was 2 years ago when he had 59 receptions, 600 plus yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he could easily match those numbers this year in Buffalo, without a doubt. So enough about that. Let's get a little bit of an update on our rankings. So this is where we're at coming in to tonight, and this is after the draft. I had to rearrange some things based on what these teams did in the draft. So we have the Titans still at 32, Browns at 31, Saints 30, Patriots 29, Giants 28, Jags 27, Raiders 26, Jets 25, Panthers 24, Colts 23, Surprise at 22, Falcons at 21, and then the team that took the big leap, I believe I had the Cardinals around 22, I think is what they were ranked, and they bumped all the way up to 17, a little bit of shuffling around with the rest of those teams. But so yeah, the Cardinals with their draft, I definitely feel much better about what they're going to do going into the future. So for team number 22, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just go ahead and put this out to start with. Pittsburgh is number 22 because they don't have a quarterback right now. I mean, we're expecting that, Aaron Rodgers could be the quarterback for 2025, but as of right now, it hasn't happened. So, I mean, what is the future going to be in Pittsburgh? Right now, QB1 is very possibly going to be Will Howard, who was their sixth round pick. So, not a great quarterback room, which is going to hold this team back at the moment. So, let's talk about what they did last year. They were 10-7. Their over-under for this year is 8.5 wins. They're currently plus 3,500 to win the Super Bowl, which is higher than what I thought. They started 8-2. They had that great start with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Then they lost 5 of their last 7, ending the season on a 4-game losing streak and then losing to the Ravens in the playoffs. They've had 19 seasons where they've been 500 or better. Mike Tomlin is known as being the guy who has just stayed the course, been 500 or better forever, his whole career. He hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. His career record, 183 and 107. That's around a 64% win percentage. Last time that they had a top 10 point differential, trying to show that they were one of the upper echelon teams in the NFL, was 2020. So we're going on 5 years that they have not been a top 10-ish team. Offense coordinator, probably a problem for this team. Arthur Smith struggled with the offense in Atlanta. Then he gets picked up as the OC in Pittsburgh. When you look back at what he did in Atlanta, he was 12th and 2nd in 2019. Well, no, that wasn't Atlanta, but he was 12th and 2nd as a coordinator in Tennessee, as far as yards per game go. Then since then, he's averaged 24th in yards per game. So he had 2 great years in Tennessee whenever he had the likes of Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown in Tennessee. But now he still had players, but he hasn't produced with his play calling ability. Looking at the Steelers last year, they were 20th in points per game, 23rd in yards per game, 25th in yards per play. They had the 4th worst red zone touchdown percentage at 48%, so less than 1 out of every 2 attempts in the red zone, they were not scoring a touchdown. 4 yards per carry, which was 25th, but they had the 6th most rushes per game. So there's Arthur Smith just putting his handprint on this offense where he is going to run the ball no matter what's going to happen. 26th in pass yards per game, and then they were 5th from the bottom in sack percentage at almost 9%. So the offense was not good. I mean, the only thing that kept his team in games last year was the fact that Russell Wilson only had 3 interceptions. Or they may have had 3 interceptions as a team for the season. Not good. They just did not turn the ball over. So, going to the defensive side of the ball, Terrell Austin's still the defensive coordinator. A little bit better, but not the defense that we know are accustomed to in Pittsburgh. 7th in points per game. Okay. 15th in yards per game, 16th in yards per play, 28th on 4th down conversion percentage allowed, so almost 70%. 13th in red zone touchdowns, 10th in yards per carry allowed, 11th in rush yards per game, 20th in completion percentage. The run game, you're going to see a theme here. The run game was much better than the pass game as far as the defensive side of the ball for the Steelers. 18th in sack percentage. They had the 2nd most takeaways. Surprising. So let's look what they did in free agency. This is before free agency, but they trade for DK Metcalf, or during free agency, I should say. That was the main thing that they did in free agency. You look at their depth chart here, and what stands out? DK Metcalf, like I just mentioned, they send that 2nd round pick to Seattle. They signed DK to an extension, 4 years, $132 million, which is 3rd in annual value, average value, which is ahead of the likes of A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, you can do with that what you want. I don't think he's a better receiver. At the end of that contract, it'll probably look better, but as of right now, it does not look good. 23rd in receiving yards, 992, 66 receptions, 5 touchdowns. So positive 16 receiving EPA. He's just nothing special. He have that big body. He has not lived up to the expectations that we thought whenever he was coming out of college and had that great first season. It's just been the same numbers every single year for DK Metcalf. They also they bring in Mason Rudolph, who I guess is your QB1 if Will Howard's not your QB1. I mean, the only other thing they did on the offensive side of the ball as far as additions go is Robert Woods in free agent, or well, I mean, that's free agency, but that was just the other day. I don't know if he has anything left in the tank. So as far as free agency signings go, on the defensive side, they didn't do anything but Darius Slay, a 1-year, $10 million contract. There's no one else on this. Juan Thornhill, I mean, nothing. Brandon Eccles, nothing to write home about. Darius Slay had his worst season since 2020. I guess he's still serviceable, but the age is definitely creeping up on him. So you got to look to, when you're looking for good additions for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got to look at the draft. The draft is the only thing that they've done of note besides DK Metcalf. You know, in the first round, they take, let's look at their draft picks here. Front and center, Derek Harmon. I had him ranked as defensive tackle number 4 behind Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and Walter Nolan. He is compared to Leonard Williams. He's going to get a good bit of playing time, I would assume. I don't know. Cam Hayward's still there, but Cam Hayward's age is going up and going up fast. He stacks and sheds easily. He's quick and strong to go to the B or the A gap. He's got long arms. So solid defender up the gut of that defense, that front 4. Like I said, they did not have a 2nd round pick because they traded that away to acquire DK Metcalf. They took their 3rd round pick, right of center, Caleb Johnson. running back out of Iowa. He compares to DeMarco Murray. He was 67th overall in my rankings. He was RB7, so down on the running back board. But I mean, he's a big guy for sure. He's All-American, had over 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6'1", 224 pounds. Very easily could be RB1 because Jaylen Warren has not shown any reason to make him RB1. I mean, he's had the opportunities whenever they were kind of doing a running back by committee between he and Najee Harris, and he never took the bull by the horns, I should say. Fourth round, they take Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State. He had a career high 9 sacks last year. Fifth round, Yahya Black. Sixth round, Will Howard, like I mentioned earlier. His floor is a high-end backup. Could he be better? Depends on the system he's in. I don't have high hopes whenever you look at the fact that Arthur Smith is his offensive coordinator. Doesn't bode well for Mr. Will Howard. So let's go back to that depth chart. You can see colored in pink, purple, whatever color you want to call that. They mostly add on the defense. The only offensive additions in the draft were Will Howard and Caleb Johnson, who could both be starters come week 1. Is it going to happen? Not really sure, but we will find out. So, subtractions. They lose QB1 and QB2. Russell Wilson and Najee Harris are both gone. Sorry, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are both gone. Justin Fields moves on to the New York Jets. Russell Wilson goes to the New York Giants. I literally just realized they both went to New York. So they're both gone. Like we said, Will Howard may be QB1. Najee Harris is gone. He is Mr. Consistency. We'll get into his stats in a minute, but man, it is the same thing every single year from Najee Harris. They cut Preston Smith. They saved $13 million by cutting him. Once they got him on the roster, nothing of note really happened. 32 tackles, which is his career worst. 4.5 sacks. His worst was 4, so it's near the bottom. 9.1% quarterback pressure rate, which was the worst of his career. So down year all across the board. Larry Ogunjobi, gone. Now with the Buffalo Bills, Preston Smith is still available, I believe, but I don't think anyone's wanting him. Surprised Larry Ogunjobi got another chance in Buffalo. Just depth for that team, I do believe. So going into their strengths of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not a lot, but we do have 2 quote-unquote wide receiver ones. Will they stay wide receiver ones? Will they stay friends? I'm not even sure. Will they stay out of the boxing ring, off the field, on the field? And that is DK Metcalf and George Pickens. Those 2 definitely both have the ability to be a number 1 receiver, which is good for whoever is going to be under center, whether that be Will Howard, Mason Rudolph, or Aaron Rodgers. Unsure of who is going to be, but it will definitely help the fact if they can both be great teammates. Let's just put it at that. But having both of them, they are kind of duplicates of each other. So it kind of makes me wonder, did they bring in DK Metcalf to kind of test the waters on possibly moving on from George Pickens after this year or trading him during the season? I mean, I could see by week 6, if things aren't going well, especially in the passing game or the team in general, George Pickens may be the odd man out, especially since they brought in DK. They're definitely committed to him for the future. So they may try to strike a trade while they can. When you look at George Pickens, his last 3 seasons, 800 yards, 1,100 yards, 900 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Last season was his worst based on EPA at a positive 20 EPA. He's at a positive 23, a positive 42. So, I mean, how much I want to see how good George Pickens is going to be with a true quarterback, not someone like Russell Wilson, who majority of George Pickens' receptions were just those breadbasket deep routes that you saw catching it over his shoulder, going down the sideline. Curious to see what happens with the dynamic between he and DK Metcalf. So that's one strength, having 2 well above average wide receivers on this team. They have an outstanding. All right, so that's it for the offense. I believe that's the only strength on this team as far as the offense goes. On the defensive side, they have an outstanding front four. I mean, all these guys, if you are a semi-avid fan of football, you know a lot of these names. You obviously know TJ Watt. You know Cam Hayward. You know Nick Herbig. You know Keanu Benton. You know Isaiah Loudermilk. Now they have Derek Harmon. I mean, these names, they're all good. They're all above average players. So whenever they added Harmon alongside TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and Alex Highsmith, who I also forgot, who can get after the quarterback for sure, it just made this front four even better than what it was. Their pass rush was ranked number 1 last year. They were 3rd in pass rush win rate. They were mid to a little bit above on run stop win rate, and their coverage was the problem. Stopping the run and getting to the quarterback, good. But as far as what they gave up in coverage, terrible. They ranked 22nd in coverage. But going back to that front four, TJ Watt was ranked 12th in pass rush win rate amongst edges. It was over 19%. Keanu Benton was 19th among D tackles at 10% in pass rush win rate. So that front four is definitely the focal point or the best thing that this team has going for sure. I wanted to say the secondary is decent, but when you dig into the numbers, it is not. It is not. I feel like I'm just trying to make them decent based on their past of how good they've been as a defense in Pittsburgh in years prior. Having Joey Porter Jr. is good. He allowed a 79 passer rating, but the problem is he had a 32-point flip in EPA allowed. Played the same number of snaps, so he needs to get back to what he did his rookie year versus his sophomore year. They have Minka Fitzpatrick, which is great. He covers up a lot of issues on the back end of that defense and is still one of the best safeties in the league. I think he's going to be 28, 29 years old going into 2025. So, I mean, they brought in Juan Thornhill. They brought in Darius Slay, who's old. So the secondary didn't really change much. But again, you look at that front four. They also brought in Jack Sawyer, who can get after the quarterback. So they're going to depend on pressure and sacks and QB hits to help this defense out throughout the season. Weaknesses on this team. Way more weaknesses than strengths for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I've mentioned already, they do not have a quarterback. QB1 and QB2 are both gone. I'm guessing Aaron Rodgers is going to sign. I don't know. You know how he dramatizes everything and drags it out. So we'll see. But assuming he signs, he will be the quarterback, and that will definitely push this team way up in the power rankings, at least 5 or 6 spots, I would say. But if he doesn't sign, my guess is that Mason Rudolph is opening week 1 starter. But Will Howard's probably in there by week 3 or 4? I mean, Mason Rudolph's been in the league. He's a veteran. And what else is he going to do? Like, he's not just all of a sudden going to flip a switch in Arthur Smith's offense. That is not the offense for him to just figure it out all of a sudden. So Will Howard will probably take over the reins by the first quarter of the season. This O-line is mid at best. Definitely a weakness on this team. They were 24th in pass block. Dan Moore's good. They lost him though. So that does no good. He was 11th as far as offensive tackles go in pass block win rate at 93%. Now he's out the door. James Daniels was good. He's not on team. He had the injury, but I mean, no longer there. So 2 key players that could have played a major role in this offensive line are out the door. Zach Frazier, pretty good. I mean, you're starting to dig now. Solomalu, 7th best run block win rate at 75%. But you're as good as your weakest link, and they have some weaker links on this team. So we will see what happens with the offensive line, especially if they have a rookie quarterback under center. Going forward with their weaknesses, a rookie running back, third-round running back, may be a week 1 starter. I mentioned that earlier. Jaylen Warren has not taken over as the starting running back in this team. We know he is probably not capable of taking that next step. The defense is aging. They did draft Harmon, Sawyer, and Yaya Black, but got Cam Hayward, who's going to be 36, Darius Slay, 34, TJ Watt, 30 or 31. It's just, especially with Cam Hayward getting older, you look at the fact that they allow 3.7 yards per carry with Cam Hayward on the field, which is second best in the league. When he was off, they allowed 5.1 yards per carry, which would have been next to last. So they go from next to best whenever Cam Hayward's on the field against the run to next to last when he's off the run. So him being 36 years old this season does not bode well for their run defense going into 2025. I mean, a lot of this season depends on if there's no Aaron Rodgers, this team will likely be taking a step back and possibly giving Mike Tomlin his first losing season of his career. We'll look at the cap. Their cap situation right now, they have the 24th most committed money at $280 million. Literally no bad contracts on this team. I mean, I guess you could argue the worst contract is DK Metcalf's contract, but I mean, that's just right now. The percentage of the cap is going to go down each year. This team never has any bad contracts, honestly. They still have $33 million in cap space. That's the 8th most. $6 million in dead, which is next to least. $5 million between Mike Williams and Ogunjobi. So we're going back to that cap space, $33 million. When you look at the free agents that are still available, I mean, let's see. Who could they bring in? Asante Samuel, that would be a great addition, especially to the secondary. I mean, he was the 30th overall ranked free agent, still available. Mike Hilton, bring him in. I mean, they need help on this defense. Brandon Scherf, J.K. Dobbins, do more of a committee. I don't think that's going to happen because they do have Kenneth Gainwell that they brought in free agency. Jedrick Wills, Will Hernandez, help out that offensive line. So, I mean, there's a few options. Asante Samuel would be the one that I would go after first and foremost if I am the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I am not them, and they are not me. So, good luck to them with their currently constructed defense. Looking at their schedule, we will actually find out when they play these teams. I believe on May 14th is when we will find out the actual schedule. So as of right now, I'm going to go by face value, breaking down their home and away games and give an estimate or what we think could happen in these games. Baltimore, at best, they're going to split these games, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Cincinnati, we'll say split. Cleveland, they should win both of those. Cleveland is full rebuild or should be full rebuild. Buffalo, a loss. Green Bay, a loss. Colts, winnable. Dolphins, toss-up. Vikings, a loss. Seahawks, toss-up. All right, going to their away schedule. We already discussed Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. The Bears, a toss-up. Lions, a loss. Chargers, probably a loss. Patriots should win. And the Jets, they should win. That right there, even with Mason Rudolph, Will Howard as your quarterback, that's going to get you around 8-9, 9-8 as a floor. Should be. A lot of these games could go either way. The Ravens, I mean, I think they're a tier above them or a few tiers above them. Bengals, too, the offense, there's no way. The defense is not stopping them, and the Steelers are not scoring with them. The Bills are in 2 tiers above them. Packers are a tier above them. Who knows what's going on with the Colts with their quarterback situation. Dolphins, as long as Tua is healthy, they should win that game. Vikings, let's see what J.J. McCarthy's got. Seahawks, if they can get after the quarterback, which is their best thing they have going, they can definitely rattle Sam Darnold. The Bears, they have probably one of the better rosters in the NFL. It's just a matter of putting it all together. The Lions, they could go 17-0. I mean, their roster is great. Especially with having a healthy defense. The sky's the limit with them. Chargers should be a little better. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Patriots, rebuild. Jets, possibly no quarterback. So if you're just joining the show, just a quick recap, looking at who's the top players on this Steelers roster. You have the likes of George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and that's it on offense. That's two top players, and that's all you got on offense. Everybody else is average at best. Look at the defensive side of the ball. They have more players to write home about. They have TJ Watt. They have Cam Hayward. They have Minkah Fitzpatrick. You could argue Joey Porter Jr. is above average. So they have more on the defense, which is going to carry this team if this team is going to win games in 2025. One thing I like to do for every team is do some digging and try to find who could be, now that we have the draft, we can add rookie of the year in, but MVP candidates, offensive, defensive player of the year candidates, rookies of the year. So the best options for MVP is DK Metcalf at plus 30,000. Not happening. Offensive player of the year, DK Metcalf at plus 12,000. We're getting somewhere, but still very, very unlikely because I don't think he's ever had 1,100 yards in a season. So to come into Pittsburgh with no quarterback is extremely unlikely for him to do that. So I would advise to save your money. Will Howard, offensive rookie of the year, plus 3,500, which is very good money if you want to bet that, because plus 3,500, all he has to do is win the starting job, take this team to the playoffs. I mean, and he's in the running. If he wins the starting job, takes his team to the playoffs, he's going to be one of the top 5 vote getters easily. Defensive rookie of the year, Derek Harmon at plus 3,500. I mean, he could come in and easily make an impact. So again, a chance for sure. Defensive player of the year, TJ Watt at plus 850. I think he had the second or third best odds. I mean, as long as he's healthy, I say that. Last year, he kind of fell off at the end of the year, middle of the year, or was it when he started off great? And then it was like for a while there, he did not record a tackle for loss or a sack. Another thing that I look at for every one of these teams is most improved player. Who on this roster could be the most improved player? On the offensive side of the ball, there's 2. Defense, I mean, I guess there's more, but offensive side of the ball, I looked at, players like Broderick Jones. He was picked 14th 2 years ago and really hasn't done anything. So it's time to show up in year 3. I mean, being picked that highly. Last year, he had 10 penalties, 10 sacks given up, 43 pressures allowed on 1,000 snaps. So not ideal statistically. Jaylen Warren, that's another option. He has the opportunity to take over this running back room, given another chance already. I mean, he's gotten carries the last few years. He's had 77, 149, 120 carries over 3 seasons. Last year was his worst season of the 3 as far as pretty much any metric. Yards per carry was down. Tide only had 1 touchdown. Rush yards over expected per attempt was his lowest. The rush EPA was the lowest at negative 18. So he has the opportunity to be the most improved player on this team for sure. Joey Porter Jr., I spoke about him earlier. He had a better first season than his second season. So season 3 is where it needs to kick in and be better. Drop-off candidates for this team. It's easy. Cam Hayward, he's going to be 36 years old. Players do not beat Father Time. As simple as that. He is still great. One of the top defensive tackles in the league. Last year, he had 71 tackles, 58 stops, which is a tackle at or behind the line of scrimmage, 700-plus snaps, 8 sacks, 41 quarterback pressures. It's just ridiculous numbers at 35 years old. So if he can stay healthy, top talent for sure. X factors for this team is, for every team I try to avoid quarterback, but it's literally who's going to be under center is going to be playing a large role for the success of this team. Is it Will? It's going to be Will Howard at some point. Like, there's no way Mason Rudolph comes in and takes this team to new places that he has before. That is, if Aaron Rodgers does not sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Still an option. If it's not the quarterback, then it's the defense as a whole, because they will have to carry this team and carry this offense for sure on the defensive side of the ball. Another X factor is DK Metcalf and George Pickens being role models. Put it like that. So to summarize the Pittsburgh Steelers, let's go back to our rankings. Steelers, 22. Summarize Pittsburgh Steelers. Outcomes. Let's do their best outcome. This is the most realistic best outcome, best case scenario. Aaron Rodgers signs to be their quarterback. Is that best case? I assume. Let's just assume it's best case. They have a legit quarterback for the first time since, 8 years ago, whenever Ben Roethlisberger was still mobile to some extent. DK and George Pickens figured out to be wide receiver 1-2, 1-1, 2-2, whatever. They get some type of production in the backfield, whether that's Jaylen Warren or Caleb Johnson, or they just turn Kenneth Gainwell into RB1, whatever works. The defense steps up to be near top 10, and, hey, they're competing for the AFC North again. They could finish around 10-7, 11-6, 12-5 if they have Aaron Rodgers. That's best case scenario. I mean, I don't think the Super Bowl is in sight this year. The defense is not good enough based on what they had last year, even if Aaron Rodgers is there. Worst case scenario, no Aaron Rodgers. Will Howard is showing why he was drafted in the 6th round. Mason Rudolph is basically your QB for the season. I mean, it doesn't really matter if it's him or Will Howard. George Pickens gets traded midway through the season. No protection for Will Howard or Mason Rudolph, whoever's back there. The defense continues to not be great. If they're a top 20 unit, Mike Tomlin gets his first losing season. They could finish somewhere around 5-12. I mean, this quarterback room has not proven anything. You pair that with the offensive line and the run game, and there's a scenario where this team is really struggling in 2025, especially when they don't have the defense that they've had in years past. Now, what's my expectation for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Like I've said over and over, Will Howard will eventually be the starter, probably sooner than later, assuming Aaron Rodgers does not sign. And I'm under the impression that he may not. They take a quarterback, even though it's 6th round, like they had a lot of holes they needed to fill. Will Howard is a possible candidate to be a starter in this offense for sure. He struggles early on, but he has the weapons around him to become somewhat serviceable, ranked 20th or so as far as quarterbacks in his rookie year. Some growing pains, but kind of gets it going more towards the second half of the season. The D is average, and the Steelers do what they always do, and they finish around 500. Yet again, Mike Tomlin keeps his job, and we re-up for 2026. So that's Pittsburgh Steelers. 30 minutes on them. We're going to get another 30 minutes on another team at least, and we will do them right after we have a message from our sponsors.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
All right. So now we are going to get into our second team of the night. Kind of gave it away a little bit earlier, I do believe. So we already have 21 because that's where the Falcons ended up as far as my power rankings go post 2025 draft. But the team that will be team number 20 is the Seattle Seahawks. They have a lot going on, a lot A lot of moving parts in this offseason. They got rid of DK Metcalf to the aforementioned Pittsburgh Steelers, who we just broke down in great detail. And they have Mike McDonald, their coach, that's going into his second season. So let's talk about what they did last year. Another 10-7 team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, the same over-under, 8.5. They have much worse odds to be the Super Bowl champions versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? I don't know. Pittsburgh Steelers were plus 3,500. The Seattle Seahawks are plus 7,500. Seems like a big stretch or a big gap between the two teams when they have the same over-under. And the Seahawks are in the NFC, where there's not as many big team names. Yes, you have the Eagles and the Lions, but after that, who is it? The Rams, who could be done after one injury to Matthew Stafford. I just don't get that gap in odds. Anyways, plus 7,500 to be the Super Bowl champs. Last year, they started 4-5. They won 4 straight, and they finished the season 10-7. But a big thing was that they had Geno Smith under center. Not who it is this year. We'll get into that in a second. Head coach, Mike McDonald, for a second year. Offensive coordinator, they bring in Clint Kubiak, which does not make a lot of sense to me. He has only been an offensive coordinator 2 years. Both times he was offensive coordinator, he was out after year 1. He was ranked 12th and 21st in yards per game in those 2 years. So, not a home run talent for sure. But looking back at what the Seahawks had in their offense last year, they were 17th in points per game, 15th in yards per game, 12th in yards per pass. On third down conversion percentage, they were 21st. They ran the ball the 5th least in the NFL. Well, sorry, percentage of plays 5th least. They were the 3rd least amount of runs per game in the NFL. But they were 17th in yards per carry at 4.2. They just did not want to run the ball. So, I mean, I could see you getting rid of your offensive coordinator for that reason. So, Clint Kubiak's here. You're going to see a lot of play action for sure. You saw that with the Saints last year. 96 yards per game. 4th worst in the NFL. Part of that was due to the fact that they didn't run the ball. Because, like I said, they were average as far as yards per carry. They had the 5th most passes and the 5th highest completion percentage. Again, that is with Geno Smith. 7.4 yards per pass, 6th in pass yards per game, 8.4 sack percentage. That offensive line was not the best. That's in the lower third of the NFL last year. Defensive coordinator, dirty. 2nd year. Basically, it's Mike McDonald, though. Let's just assume it's Mike McDonald. He's calling the shots as far as defense goes on this team. The defense was underrated, in my opinion. You know, I don't hear a lot about the Seattle defense, led by Leonard Williams also. But they were 13th in points per game allowed. They were average in yards per game, 11th in yards per play, 6th on 4th down, allowing just 50% conversion percentage, 7th in red zone touchdown percentage, 23rd in yards per carry, so a little on the lower end there. 14th. They were around average or a little bit better in almost every category when you look at their defense, which is good, especially for a first year in Mike McDonald being there. So moving on. Let's look at their additions. Let's go to their depth chart. So blue is players that are already there. They were already there. The orangish yellow gold color is free agents that they signed. And the purplish pink are draft additions. So the main addition is QB1, Sam Darnold. We'll get into what they did with Geno Smith in a moment, but Sam Darnold signs what is said to be a 3-year, $100 million, but it's only $55 million guaranteed, and $17.5 million of that is when he's on the roster for 2026. So there is a quick out route for the Seattle Seahawks if Sam Darnold does not come in and produce like he did in Minnesota. That contract is 19th in average value. So, I mean, paying him 19th over 3 years for average value is reasonable, especially when you have an out option after year 1, basically. They also added Cooper Kupp. We'll talk about him in a moment. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Drew Lock is QB2. Well, maybe I say QB2 based on this depth chart, but this depth chart, don't know if I agree with it. DeMarcus Lawrence comes over from Dallas. I think he's still got something left in the tank, but we shall see. Outside of that, there's no one else that they really added in free agency. Besides those that they re-signed, like Jaron Reed, 3-year, $22 million contract. He had 45 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 40 QB pressures last year. Ernest Jones, who once they traded for him, he was an immediate impact player on this defense. We know Mike McDonald wants to have his certain type of linebacker, like he had Roquan Smith in Baltimore. They trade for Ernest Jones, who was in Tennessee at first. They trade for Jerome Baker, Ernest Jones. Jerome Baker's out the door. Ernest Jones is in. He played better as of late, and like I said, we know how Mike McDonald loves his linebackers. 3-year, $29 million contract. Great money for Ernest Jones. Then we look at their draft. They really made some great picks, in my opinion, in this draft. Kind of hard to see who's who in this picture, but this is the only picture I could find that had everyone included. Center all the way to the left, their first round pick. This was mocked in a lot of drafts, including, I believe, my own. And they took Gray Zabel, the Swiss Army knife, as far as offensive linemen go. He had 41 games over 5 seasons, starting at left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard. His comparison for NFL players, Elgin Jenkins for the Packers. I had him as the number 1 overall rated guard in this class. Depends on what you want to put him as, guard, tackle. But I had him ranked 15th overall. So good pick by the Seahawks. Definitely need to beef up that offensive line. He has lower body explosiveness. He can recover well whenever he's beaten. You can plug and play him pretty much anywhere, as you've seen in his college days. Second round pick. They had 2 because they traded away DK Metcalf and got a second round pick for the Steelers. So one of those 2 picks, they get Nick Emenwari, who, where is he at in this picture? Is he right above? Yeah, that's him. Right above Gray Zabel on the left side. I had him as safety 2 behind Malachi Starks, but that was a very close comparison. I had him ranked 31st overall. His comparison to the NFL player is Derwin James Jr. That's a lot to do with the fact that he is an athletic freak, as he showed at the combine. He was only one of 4 players, 6'3" or taller, who topped 40-plus inches in his vertical and also ran a sub 4.4 since 2003. One of 4. That's it. He closes quickly on the ball. He blows up screens. He matches up well with tight ends. He can press and run with the slots. He had 4 interceptions and 2 touchdowns last year at South Carolina. Long arms to compete for 50-50 balls. And he led South Carolina in tackles 2 of the last 3 seasons. So, amazing athlete. Can he take that athleticism and translate it to the NFL game? That second round pick that they had, they took Elijah Arroyo. I had him ranked as tight end 6, but that's due to the injuries. He could be tight end 2, 3 by the end of this, possibly even 1. His comparison's Trey McBride. I had him ranked 68th overall, but again, that is solely due to his injuries. Last year, he had 16.9 yards per catch. He can catch the ball away from his body. He holds on to the ball whenever he's taking a big hit. Not the best blocker, but he's out there to be a pass catcher. 35 receptions, almost 600 yards, 7 touchdowns at Miami last year, played with Cam Ward. Curious to see what he does in this offense, especially when Noah Fant is currently your tight end 1. Elijah Arroyo could be that soon. Third round, they take pictured at the top, Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. This is one of probably the widest range of outcomes for any quarterback in this draft class. The negatives is that he had an underwhelming 2024. He's an inconsistent passer. He had 39 touchdowns, but 17 interceptions, which is not ideal in college football. The pros is he's also an athletic freak. He's an extremely dangerous runner, 20 rush touchdowns, over 700 yards on the ground. You do see him flash at times, driving the ball into tight windows. He can layer the ball, put it in the basket downfield, basically. So it's just a matter of what he can do to build himself up as a passer in the NFL. 5th round pick that I really love, Torrey Horton. This guy, if he would have stayed healthy in 2024, he probably would have been a 3rd round pick, but they get him in the 5th round. And then they also take Riley Mills in the 5th round as well. Going back to their depth chart. I mean, there's a lot of purple in here, a lot of pinkish purple. We'll talk about a lot of them. Players that they lost, though, and this is why they're still ranked 20th and not higher, because they did lose some talent in the offseason. They lost DK Metcalf, who we talked about earlier. They traded him away. They cut Tyler Lockett, saving $17 million. He was like, 2nd in reception, yards, touchdowns in franchise history. Last year, he had 49 receptions, 600 yards, 2 touchdowns. They cut Draymond Jones. He saved $12 million. He had just 4 sacks, but 38 quarterback pressure. So some talent going on that front 4 for sure. Probably part of the reason why they brought in DeMarcus Lawrence and drafted Riley Mills. Sorry, something in my eye. So that's the talent they lost. And then they traded away DK, like I said. And then they traded away Geno Smith. Geno Smith alleviated so many issues with this offensive line that he may be greatly missed. They may not have come close to getting that contract that they really wanted for the future, and that may have been what led him to being traded away to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now that he and DK Metcalf are both gone, I mean, honestly, it frees up money for upcoming extensions. You have Charles Cross. You have, who else? You have Charles Cross, Boye Mafe, Tariq Woolen, Abe Lucas, Kobe Bryant. I mean, there's a lot of players that are coming up for extensions in the future. Kenneth Walker. So now you're going to have money once that dead cap kind of goes away. Strengths of this team. Offensive playmakers. They did improve over the last few weeks with the draft and at the end of free agency, because it was just Jackson Smith and Jigba and me out there catching balls from Sam Darnold. So to get Cooper Kupp, I would say it's an average signing, but that's, again, due to his health history. I mean, I hope he can do more this year. I'm not really banking on it, but, his injuries have really held him back in the past few seasons, to say the least. I mean, he's played 12 games, 9 games over the last 3 seasons. So in the last 3 seasons, he's missed 5, 10, 18 games. So that is basically a third of the season. You can probably count him out. I mean, he is amazing when he's on the field. Still 700-800 yards, 60 to 70 receptions in those games, 5 or 6 touchdowns. Consistency. He was a Triple Crown winner 4 years ago, just 4 years ago. 145 receptions, almost 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. Led the league in all 3 categories. So if he can stay on the field, obviously a huge boost to this pass-catching room. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I mean, we know how good he is. We don't really have to talk about him just yet. They drafted Torrey Horton. Going to be an amazing talent. I mean, like I said, he's a big body that you can get the ball to. He was drafted later just solely due to his injury history, and could be wide receiver 2, depending on what happens with Cooper Kupp. He's definitely probably going to be wide receiver 3, potentially. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is probably going to be in some 4 receiver sets. He's going to be a deep ball threat. They drafted Arroyo. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba last year, he had 100 receptions, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns, and that usage is definitely just going to go up. He started to establish himself as wide receiver 1 as the season went on, and the sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, you don't really have Noah Fant he had 48 receptions, 500 yards, and 1 touchdown. Arroyo could easily come in and do that in year 1 if he can stay healthy. That's probably their only strength on the offensive side of the ball is their weapons, their pass catchers, I should say. Defensive side of the ball, Leonard Williams alone is a strength. He was 4th in defensive tackle pass rush win rate at 14%. We saw him with the touchdown. He just was, for that, I don't know, quarter of the season during the midway point, second half of the season, he just took over games, it seemed. Every week he was doing something spectacular. The secondary is a strength depending on the day. You have a coach who is competent. That's definitely a strength for this team. When you look at the weaknesses, as of right now, the QB room is probably a weakness. Excuse me. Sorry, I felt a sneeze coming on. QB room is probably a weakness for this team. You have Sam Darnold, who showed he could be well above average when put in the right system until his offensive line fails him. Then he goes back to seeing ghosts. The problem I have with him being put in Seattle is that they had the let's see, one second. The problem I have with them signing Sam Darnold is that they had the 7th highest quarterback pressure percentage in Seattle last year, 4th quickest time to pressure. I mean, you pair that with the fact that Sam Darnold had over a 3-second time to throw, which was 0.68 of a second more than the time to pressure. It just does not add up unless Gray Zabel comes in. You know, you have your 2 bookend tackles and Abe Lucas and Charles Cross. I don't know. I just don't know how it's going to work out because we know how he folds under pressure, as you saw towards the end of the season and in the playoffs for the Vikings. Once they got pressure to Sam Darnold, it just changes who he is as a quarterback. He was sacked 48 times last year. He just holds on to the ball too long, and I'm afraid that may be his downfall in Seattle in 2025. Again, going on with that QB room, they've drafted Jalen Milroe, but he needs time to develop. I hope he doesn't get thrusted into the starting role because Sam Darnold is just god-awful due to pressure. I'm hoping I'm wrong about the pressure that he's going to see on the field. And then you add that all up with them losing Geno. It's just the QB room is – I'm not convinced just yet. Let's just put it like that. I'm not convinced that this team can be led by these quarterbacks, and that is the majority of the reason of why they are ranked 20th in my power rankings. Is the instability with that QB room. Now, if Sam Darnold comes out and plays like he did in the first half of the season last year, the limit is much, I'm not going to say the sky's the limit, but the outcomes are much more favorable for the Seattle Seahawks. Another weakness, run game, but that's partially due to play calling. 5th worst rush yards per game under 96. They were at 95 per game. They were 21st in EPA per rush. So even though they were slightly better as far as EPA goes, still not the best run game. And that's partially due to the interior of that offensive line. Having Gray Zabel may help this out quite a ton, honestly. They had 47 explosive plays on the ground, which is a 10-plus yard rush, which was average. Stuff percentage at 20%. So it was either a home run play or getting hit at or behind the line of scrimmage, which is what a stuffed play is. 20%, which is the 3rd worst. So 1 out of every 5 plays they're either getting tackled at or behind the line of scrimmage. 1.06 yards before contact per attempt. So on average, their running backs were getting 1 yard of open field before being contacted. Not ideal in the slightest. Not ideal when your average yards before contact is 1 yard. I think the highest was the Ravens at like 3 something. 3 times as much. When you look at their running back room, Kenneth Walker, 3.7 yards per carry. 16 minus 16 rush yards over expected. Zach Charbonnet actually had better numbers statistically when you look at the advanced metrics. Well, some of them, I should say. He did have 4.2 yards per carry, positive 73 rush yards over expected. They both had minus or negative 16 and 15 rush EPA. So again, it's just not it's not looking good in that backfield. But hopefully bringing in Gray Zabel, maybe Damian Martinez. I mean, we've all seen 7th round running backs do something to help out offenses. So we'll see what happens. Weaknesses on the D is not really many because, like I said earlier, they were average or slightly above average in most statistical categories. Uchenna Nwosu being there is a weakness. He's still there. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't even see him on the depth chart. They were the good is that they were 8th in EPA per pass. They had the 6th highest quarterback pressure percentage at 36%, 10th highest sack percentage. Problem was they can't tackle. They gave up 2nd most yards after the catch at over 2,200. 4th lowest stuff percentage. So, I mean, they were good at certain things, but they weren't really getting in the backfield when teams were running the ball. Defense could take another step this year, especially second year under Mike McDonald. And then adding DeMarcus Lawrence, Nick Emmanwori, I mean, he could come out and be Defensive Rookie of the Year. But when you look at the stats of the defense, Leonard Williams was the focal point. 53 stops, 64 tackles, 50 QB pressures, 11 quarterback pressure percentage, 11 sacks. Career high for him. He had that one interception that he ran back a good ways, I want to say, if I remember correctly, in the second half of the season. Ernest Jones is a good defensive player, especially in the middle of the field. Mike McDonald has found his linebacker of the future. The interior offensive line, going back to the offense, sorry. The problem was the interior of that offensive line. Like I said, they have their bookend tackles in Charles Cross, who was 16th in as far as offensive tackles go and pass block win rate, 92%. But the team was 28th in run block win rate, 21st in pass block win rate. So even though you have bookend tackles, that interior of the offensive line is what led to the downfall of this offense. And like I said, Geno Smith alleviated a lot of these issues by being able to work up in the pocket, scramble when needed, and push the ball into pockets that he had to, being due to the fact that he was pressured so frequently. The pass block, anywhere you look, their pass block was just not ranked well. They ranked 26 per PFF. The run block was ranked 24, so nowhere was great. So the season's really going to depend on if this O-line can hold up for Sam Darnold. Another thing that I'm curious about is, are we going to get part 2 of the Matt Flynn, Russell Wilson saga? It's not exactly the same, but it's somewhat similar. They paid Matt Flynn the big money after he had that one great game in Green Bay when he came in, and what was it, like 5 touchdowns, 450 yards or something. They give him the good contract, and then they draft Russell Wilson the same year, 3rd round. Russell Wilson comes in, wins the starting role, and never looks back. Hall of Fame career thereafter. Could the same thing be happening with Sam Darnold and Jalen Milroe? I don't believe anyone expected Russell Wilson to be the starter, and then momentum just continued to gain, and he was the starter by week 1. Jalen Milroe will definitely have to come in and just show something he has not shown as far as passing ability in training camp, rookie mini camp. Would I be completely blown away if he's a starter? No, because Sam Darnold could regress, and Milroe could come in and show up and show out. But week 1, I still believe Sam Darnold's going to be the starter. Cap situation, $272 million committed, next lease, no real bad contracts left on this roster, just dead cap. They have the 7th most cap space, $36 million. And like I spoke about earlier, who could they still go out in free agency that's still left out there? Do they want Asante Samuel? I think their secondary is set as is. Who else could they get? Brandon Scherf to kind of shore up that interior offensive line. Not J.K. Dobbins. I mean, there's not really many players. Julian Love is great. They drafted Nick Emenwari. Kobe Bryant's good. I mean, there's not, I mean, a lot of the players that are left are defensive players. I don't think they really go after anyone that's left in free agency. I think they roll with this team that they have into the 2025. Problem is they have the second most dead cap in 2025 at $67 million. DK Metcalf, Draymond Jones, Geno Smith, and Tyler Lockett make up 62 of that $67 million. So let's get on through the Seahawks. Their schedule, looking at this from a very outsider perspective, topical view. Arizona, they could split the season series. The Rams, they could. Rams may take both, depending on what Matthew Stafford's doing. They could split the season series with the Niners, though. Niners definitely have taken a step back last year, probably going into next year. Houston, that if they can get to the quarterback, they can win that game. Indy, they should win. New Orleans, they should win. Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay's offense is on another level. Minnesota, I don't think so either. Looking at away, we already discussed Arizona's Los Angeles Rams, San Francisco Niners. They could beat the Falcons for sure. They could beat the Panthers for sure. Jacksonville, they should beat. Titans, they should beat. Washington, I don't know. Pittsburgh, they should beat. Again, we're looking at roughly 8 or 9 wins, just quick run through of the schedule. And the NFC West is just like a free-for-all. As far as who's going to win, that's probably one of the more closely matched up divisions. I want to say the Seahawks are plus 500 to win the division right now. They do have the worst odds are equal to the Cardinals, but anything's possible. We saw what the Rams did last year. A lot of people expected them to take a step back, and they did not. So top players on this team, I mean, you look at the likes of Jackson Smith and Jigba, who we spoke about earlier, and Leonard Williams. That's the 2 top players. Like I did earlier with the Steelers, MVP candidates for this team. Sam Darnold's MVP candidate plus 6,000. I mean, you don't think it's going to happen. Jalen Milroe, Offensive Rookie of the Year at plus 4,000. If he can come in and win the starting job, again, it's like Will Howard, who is plus 3,500. Jalen Milroe comes in, gets them to the playoffs. He's a top 5 contender. Quarterback, automatically top 5 contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Because, I mean, you look at the likes of the other quarterbacks. Who else is going to lead their team to the playoffs? Cam Ward's probably not. Jackson Dart's probably not. So it's possible if you're Jalen Milroe. Nick Emenwari plus 2,800, Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's a good buy-in for me right there. Jackson Smith and Jigba plus 5,000, Offensive Player of the Year. Don't think it's happening. Leonard Williams at plus 6,000. I thought that was very low odds, very high, bad odds for him being based on the season that he had last year. Most improved player candidate on this team is Cooper Kupp, and that is solely due to his health. If he can come out and be healthy, this guy could put up 100 receptions, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. Great season. Drop-off candidates. Kind of hit on this already, but Sam Darnold is so clearly it. When you look, I mean, his 2024, it was his first 4,000-yard season. He had never had even 20 passing touchdowns. He had 35 last year. His highest passer rating prior to last year was 92. He had a 103 passer rating. He had his highest completion percentage at 66%. I mean, everything. Best total EPA. His worst season was nearly minus 100, negative 100. Last year, he had a positive EPA at positive 26. Only the second season where he finished with a positive EPA. I mean, he's the drop-off candidate if anybody is on this roster. Simple as that. Cooper Kupp, I mean, he can't really drop off too much just because he's already had the health issues as of late. We discussed him earlier. X factors on this team, offensive line. I've already hit this once. We're going to hit it twice and the third time. Offensive line. If they can play at a top 10 level somehow, they have the bookend tackles. They have Gray Zabel. Can those other 2 offensive linemen, interior offensive linemen, take a step up and improve this team? Got to keep Darnold upright so he can do what he needs to do. That's the X factor. We know how he struggles under pressure. So, to summarize and finish this episode, The outcomes for this team, best, worst, and what I expect based on realistic outcomes. Best outcome, Jalen Milroe is Russell Wilson 2.0 in the fact that he takes the starting position and runs away with it. We never think about it again. He's one of those super athletes. He's not Lamar as far as passing, but people thought Lamar could only run at times. He comes in and he adds a new dynamic to this offense. The defense was as good as it was last year, top 10-ish. They then compete and win the NFC West, and they look forward to the future when they have less dead cap. I mean, they could finish 11-6 somehow if these things all align. The run game is 20th or better. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, Darnold isn't well protected. He sees ghosts like he did in New York and in the playoffs last year. The D is still average-ish. They maybe don't improve. And the floor is probably 7-10 for this team. I honestly think the floor is not any lower than that. But my expectation is Darnold is obviously the week 1 starter. He's averaged probably around the 15th best quarterback in the league. The lack of weaponry may rear its ugly head. They do have Jackson Smith and Jigba. What's Torrey Horton going to do? Cooper Kupp going to be available? Is Elijah Arroyo going to be available? The running game is not the best. Zabel is great, but the O-line is as good as his weakest link, so it may still hold him back. Arroyo does end up showing up and being tight end 1, in my opinion. The D is probably around top 12. We've discussed them at length. They finished the season around 9-8 or so and could be vying for a wild card spot. 9-8, 10-7. And the Seahawks are possibly trying to get a playoff position. 20th probably puts them around 7-10, 8-9, 9-8 as far as power rankings go. But again, just depends on what that offensive line could do. So we have made it. Well, we have all the way. Let's see. We have 14 teams ranked. 18 left to go. We have one more week of two teams left to discuss. And then we start getting into one team per week as we make it through this long offseason. If you made it through this far of the episode, please follow me on any social media, on X at King NFL Stats, TikTok, Instagram. You know the platforms, the normal platforms. Follow us all at Do Champions, YouTube. And until then, catch you next week when we find 2 more teams to discuss in great detail as we make our way through this long offseason.